Did you know that every chord you play on the guitar has a formula? I'm going to show you the formula for a simple C major chord today, unpack each of the notes and degrees, and show you why those notes are important and what you can do with them. You ready?
Let's do this!
Okay, let's go. Hey, welcome to the Chord Lab. I'm David Harsh with Guitar Success for You. Thanks for hanging out with me and my mad scientist buddy, Dr. Dave. This is a fun new set of videos I'm experimenting with that I'm hoping will benefit you as you play and understand your guitar, especially in a worship setting or a songwriter setting. Let me ask you a question. Are you able to name each of the individual notes in the chords you play on your guitar? Can you determine what those notes are by degree? If yes, awesome. If not, by the time we're done today, you'll be able to do this with an open C major chord. Now, a lot of people play chords by shape, and that's a great place to start, but it's where a lot of people stop. They don't take the extra steps to understand what each of the notes are in the chord and why they might be important. I believe this puts them at a bit of a disadvantage because in some ways, it's like cooking with ingredients we're not actually very familiar with. Imagine if you were making a dessert and you reached for what you thought was sugar, but it was actually salt. What kind of dessert would you end up with? You know the answer. And again, you could taste the ingredients before you add them together, but knowing what they are called would lead to a much clearer approach much sooner. Claiming chord formulas here in the Chord Lab will allow us to be more intentional about the ingredients in each chord we play. So let's start with this root position, open C major chord. It's one of the first chords I learned on the guitar, and it might be one of the first chords you learned. The shape looks like this. I'll explain why it's called root position in a moment, but it's an open chord because it contains at least one open note, and in this case, two. I'm also going to add the notes from the treble, clef, and even the fret numbers from the tablature to our diagram for the complete picture. C major. A chord we'll use a lot during our guitar lifetimes. But let's zoom out for a moment and talk theory. By the way, theory is tremendously empowering. It's like putting labels on ingredients, right? So let's not be shy when it comes to music theory. What are the three notes in a C major triad? Tri means three, right? The notes are C, E, and G. C is the root. It's what gives the chord its name. E is the major third, and it's what gives the chord its quality. Lastly for now, G is the fifth, and although it's not essential, it does fill out the chord in a beautiful way. Without going into too much detail right now about how many steps apart these degrees are, we can extract these three notes from a 5-note C major scale. C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 3, and 5 give us the formula for a 3-note triad. Now let's draw a scientific parallel for a moment. A water molecule is made up of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, right? H2O. Can you tell me if there is any discernible chemical difference between a drop of water and a gallon of water? The answer is no. It's the same formula. So let's carry this thought process forward into this C major chord. If the notes in this chord are C, E, G, C, and E, can you tell me how many roots we have? C is the root, so we have 2 of them. 1 on string 5, played on the 3rd fret with our 3rd finger, and 1 on string 2, played on the 1st fret with our 1st finger. How many major thirds do we have? E is the major third, so also 2. We have E on the 4th string, played with our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret, and also as the open 1st string. So we have 2 C's and 2 E's, 2 roots and 2 major thirds. All that's left is the 5th, and based on this shape, we'll only have 1/5, the open 3rd string G. So we have 2 roots, 2 major thirds, and a 5th. We are only playing combinations of C, E, and G, so we're still using the same basic formula we found in a C major triad. So the notes again are C, E, G, C, and E, and the degrees are root, major third, fifth, root, and major third. One could argue that we could do something with the sixth string, whether to play it open as an E or add the third fret G. But I'd like to keep things simple today and just play this chord as a root position C major chord, with the lowest note, C, being the root, which determines the position the notes are in, rather than an inversion, which we'll talk about in a future video. Now, we've just established not only the names of the notes, but their degrees. What does this allow us to do? It allows us to understand what we're doing and make intentional changes if we want. We can keep the chord the way it is, or we can alter certain degrees to get sounds we know are possible. I won't go too far with this, but what if we took the major third and we lowered it from E to E flat? We'd have a C minor chord. What if we omitted the third and just played C's and G's? We'd have a neutral C5 chord composed only of roots and fifths. What if we lowered the high C to an open B? We'd have a C major 7 chord. Now, how many different types of chords are there in music? Do you know? I don't really know because the sky's the limit, right? But by spending a few minutes here in the Chord Lab with a root position open C major chord, we've established a much clearer understanding of the formula for how this chord is constructed. Can this process be applied to other major chords? Of course. What about minor chords? Yeah, buddy. Just you wait. I'll see you in the next video.